Are you tired of lecturing at your students?
Do you push your students away from active learning?
Are you terrified that your students aren't critical problem solvers?
Then you should definitely try constructivism.
According to leading educational authorities, constructivism holds that meaningful learning occurs when people actively try to make sense of the world, when they construct an interpretation of how and why things are, by filtering new ideas and experiences through existing knowledge structures.
You might be wondering, what principles underlie such a teaching model?
The constructivist framework is rooted in meaningful learning, authentic problem solving, self-regulation, and social interaction.
Are your students generally passive in class, viewing you as a simple knowledge dispenser? As a constructivist, you will enable students to use prior recycled knowledge and interests to actively contribute to new meaningful learning.
Tired of students asking,
What's the point?
say goodbye to.
When am I ever going to use this?
With constructivism, your students will use authentic, real-world problem-solving situations to construct knowledge.
Want your students to assume ownership of their learning? Have them set goals, ask their own questions, conduct inquiry, and monitor their progress to assess their learning growth. Before you know it, your students will be self-regulated learners.
But wait, there's more. Your students will collaborate with purpose when your teaching is influenced by constructivism. Want your students to seek out multiple perspectives and create knowledge through social interaction? Act now. Don't wait. Get on board the constructivist plane today. You'll lift off in good company. Such thinkers as Dewey, Piaget, Vygotsky, and Bruner endorsed the constructivist paradigm. What does that mean? 100% satisfaction guaranteed.
We'll even triple the offer. There are 3 variations to the constructivist approach, and they all emphasize active student-centered learning that relies on you, the teacher, to help learners build knowledge and make decisions.
With a cognitive approach, you can emphasize the role of the cognitive processes in your individual learners. Want your students to become experts? Want them to call on their buddies for help? Want your students to negotiate meaning? Then give students opportunities to use the tools of their culture when your classroom is defined by social constructivism. With critical constructivism, you make invisible misconceptions surrounding the culture in and out of your classroom visible. You can address cultural and socio-economic diversity and establish positive but high expectations for your learners.
What are you waiting for? Constructivists have set forth 3 fostering conditions to help your students reach such high standards: establishing a cognitive apprenticeship, situated learning, and multiple perspectives.
Want your students to take initiative and become more independent? Then you need to incorporate cognitive apprenticeship modeling. This encourages scaffolded, self-directed learning by teaching a student to imitate a skill that they will later perform independently.
Ready to impress your students by giving them real-life problem-solving skills that they can actually apply in the future? 2 words: situated learning. Before you know it, they will be able to apply math, science, and sociology in order to determine interesting facts like why a pitcher can throw a curveball.
Worried that your students have a one-track mind and can't understand other people's perspectives? With multiple perspective conditions in your classroom, your students will be able to analyze and attack classroom problems from several perspectives.
Want to see constructivism in action? Let's take a look at how Miss Combs uses constructivism to teach her students how pi expresses the relationship between the circumference of a circle and its diameter. First, she has her students measure several round objects around their perimeter and across their center. After inputting the data into 2 different columns, Miss Combs asked her students to determine how much bigger the distance around the perimeter of each object is compared to its diameter. One student decided to divide the large numbers in a column by the smaller numbers in the other column. The students realized that the answer was always the same number. Miss Combs told her class that this was the number called pi.
With just 187 easy payments of open-mindedness, critical thought, hard work, and patience, both you and your students will be racing to learn.
Created using Powtoon.